Hello and welcome to Mastermind with me, John Humphreys. In the spotlight tonight are Vanda Shaw, a primary school teacher whose specialist subject is John Singer Sargent; Kieran Edge, an aerospace engineer who'll be answering questions on The Sopranos; Sally Phillips, a doctor, whose subject is the novels of Jane Austen; and Ashton Davis, an English teacher, his specialist subject, Nick Drake. Four contenders, all in pursuit of the title of Mastermind Champion. But, as you would expect, if they want the biggest prize, they must face the sternest test. The pressure of answering 2 minutes of questions on their specialist subject, 2.5 minutes on general knowledge, in the glare of the spotlight with precious little time to think. So, let's have our first contender, please. And your name is?
Vanda Shaw.
Your occupation?
Primary school teacher.
And your chosen subject?
John Singer Sargent.
A great American artist who became one of the leading portrait painters of his era. Here we go. John Singer Sargent was born in Florence in 1856. He became particularly close to one of his sisters who was born a year later and was injured in a childhood accident. What was her name?
Emily.
Yep, Sargent was strongly influenced early in his career by two artists. Later in life, he referred to them when he advised one student to copy and study Frans Hals, and after that, go to Madrid and copy which other painter?
Velázquez.
Yep. Sargent's artistic talent was spotted early by his parents, and they enrolled him in an art school in Florence in 1873, although it temporarily closed a few months later. Which school?
Accademia di Belle Arti.
Yes, in 1874, Sargent persuaded his father to take him to Paris, where he was accepted as a student by a noted portrait artist and quickly became his favourite pupil. Which artist?
Carolus Duran.
Yep. In 1878, Sargent spent some time on the island of Capri, where he was befriended by the English artist Frank Hyde and introduced to a local girl who modelled for Sargent on several occasions. What was her name?
Rosina Ferrara.
Yep. In 1884, Sargent painted a portrait of three sisters from Sheffield, but when it was shown at the Royal Academy, it was voted the worst picture of the year by the Pall Mall Gazette. What was the surname of the three sisters?
Vickers.
Yep. Sargent injured his head during a boating trip on the Thames in 1885, and to recuperate, settled in a village in the Cotswolds that was home to a small colony of artists. Which village was this?
Broadway.
Yep. In 1889, Sargent painted a portrait of the actress Ellen Terry and depicted her in her role as a Shakespearean character. Which character?
Lady Macbeth.
Yep. Sargent was also acknowledged as an accomplished musician. Which instrument was he particularly noted for playing?
Piano.
Yep. Sargent was not always complimentary about the people he was paid to paint. One American woman he described as like a great frigate under full sail with homeward-bound streamers flying. Which Pittsburgh socialite was this?
Mrs. Kate Moore.
Yep. In 1918, Sargent was commissioned by the UK government to be an official war artist. One painting he produced of a group of blinded soldiers was named Picture of the Year by the Royal Academy. What's the title of that painting?
Gassed.
Gassed is correct. Vanda, no passes. You've scored 11 points. You got them all right.
Thank you.
And our next contender, please. And your name is?
Kieran Edge.
Your occupation?
Aerospace engineer.
And your chosen subject?
The Sopranos.
The American television drama series in 2 minutes, starting now. The song Woke Up This Morning, which is used over the opening title sequence of The Sopranos, is performed by which British band?
Alabama 3.
Yep. Which character, played by Stephen Van Zandt, is the owner of the strip club Bada Bing? He's one of three people who killed their fellow Soprano crew member Pussy Bonpensiero after they discover that he's become an informant.
Silvio Dante.
Yep. In the opening minutes of the first episode, the psychiatrist, Dr. Jennifer Melfi, in her first session with Tony, asks, what line of work are you in? What's his reply?
Waste management.
Yeah. At the end of Series 1, the FBI plays Tony a recording of his mother telling damaging secrets to Junior Soprano. The recordings were made during a surveillance operation at her retirement home. What's the name of that home?
Green Grove.
Yep. Three cast members each won an Emmy Award for a supporting role in the series. They are Andrea De Matteo, Joe Pantoliano, and which other actor?
Steve Buscemi.
No, Michael Imperioli. In the episode Full Leather Jacket, Tony's wife Carmela visits Joan, the sister of a neighbour, presents her with a gift and presses her to write a letter of recommendation for their daughter's application to a university which Joan had herself once attended. Which one?
Georgetown.
Yep. Tony first meets Gloria Trillo, with whom he later has an affair, in the waiting room of Dr. Melfi's office when she's on the phone to a prospective client. What company does she say she works for?
Mercedes-Benz.
Globe Mercedes, yeah. In the episode Cold Cuts, the mafia family members Christopher and Tony B have to move some dead bodies because the orchard in which they're buried has been sold. Which British filmmaker directed the episode?
Pass.
What first name does the FBI agent Deborah Ciccarone use when she goes undercover and befriends Adriana, the girlfriend of one of Tony's crew?
Danielle.
Yep. In a flashback in the episode Fortunate Son, young Tony has a panic attack when the joint is being carved at dinner because he'd seen his father, Johnny, collect a debt from a gambler by assaulting him with a meat cleaver. Which actor plays Johnny?
Dominic Chianese.
Joseph Siravo. And your time is up. You had one pass. That episode, Cold Cuts, was directed by the British filmmaker Mike Figgis. You have scored, Kieran, 7 points. And our next contender, please. And your name is?
Sally Phillips,
Your occupation?
Doctor.
And your chosen subject?
The novels of Jane Austen.
6 completed novels published between 1811 and 1817. Here we go. Which of Jane Austen's novels opens with the line, "It is a truth universally acknowledged that a single man in possession of a good fortune must be in want of a wife"?
Pride and Prejudice.
Yes, in Persuasion, which near neighbour and intimate friend of the Elliot family regards Anne Elliot as a most dear and highly valued goddaughter, favourite and friend?
Lady Russell.
Yep, at the beginning of Sense and Sensibility, Eleanor and Marianne Dashwood are forced to leave their family home in Sussex after their father bequeaths it to their half-brother John. What's the name of that estate?
Norland.
Yep. In Mansfield Park, Miss Maria Ward of Huntingdon, with only £7,000, was raised to the rank of a baronet's lady after she'd had the good luck to captivate a baronet. What's his name?
Sir Thomas Bertram.
Yep. In Northanger Abbey, an historic building in Bristol is described by John Thorpe as the finest place in England, worth going 50 miles at any time to see. Which building?
Blaise Castle.
Yep, in Pride and Prejudice, which of the Bennet sisters is described as a stout, well-grown girl of 15 with high animal spirits? She later elopes with Wickham.
Lydia.
Yep. What's the surname of the colonel to whom Marianne Dashwood is married at the end of Sense and Sensibility? She'd previously considered him too old to be married.
Brandon.
Yep. In Emma, what's the profession of Mr. Perry? Austen describes him as an intelligent, gentleman-like man whose frequent visits were one of the comforts of Mr. Woodhouse's life.
He's an apothecary.
He is. Emma's young friend, Harriet Smith, goes to a local old-fashioned boarding school where a reasonable quantity of accomplishments were sold at a reasonable price. The mistress of the school is Mrs. Goddard. What's the name of the head teacher?
Miss Nash.
Yeah. During her stay at Northanger Abbey, Catherine Morland's vivid imagination leads her to wonder about the contents of a curious old chest. What, in fact, does it contain?
It's a laundry list. And thing about a horse. It's a list.
I'll have to put it on there. It's a white cotton counterpane. Which island in the West Indies is the location of the estates owned by Sir Thomas Bertram? He leaves Mansfield Park in order to take care of his affairs there.
Antigua.
Antigua is correct. No passes, Sally. You have 10 points.
Thank you.
And our final contender, please. And your name is?
Ashton Davis,
Your occupation?
English teacher.
And your chosen subject?
Nick Drake.
A singer-songwriter of the 60s and 70s. His music has become much better known after his death than it was during his lifetime. Here we go. 3 albums by Nick Drake were released during his lifetime. These, with several subsequent compilations, were released on which record label?
Ireland.
Yeah. The Drake family moved to England from Burma in 1952 when Nick was a young boy and lived in a house called Farleys in a village in Warwickshire. Which village?
Tamworth-in-Arden.
Yep. While he was at Marlborough College, Drake was the singer and played piano, saxophone and clarinet in a band whose members include Randall Keynes, the grandson of the economist John Maynard Keynes. What was the name of the band?
Perfume Gardeners.
Yeah. The string arrangements on Drake's first 2 albums were by his friend Robert Kirby, except for one song which was arranged by Harry Robinson. What's the title of that one?
Riverman.
Yep. Drake's cover version of the song Been Smoking Too Long, which appears on the Family Tree compilation album, was written by a student whom he met in Aix-en-Provence in 1967. What's her name?
Robin Frederick.
Yep. Most of the songs on Drake's second studio album, Brighter Later, feature the bass guitarist of Fairport Convention, who has said that this album is one of the few records I've been involved with that I do play. What's his name?
Dave Pegg.
Yep. The photograph on the back of Drake's 1969 debut album, 5 Leaves Left, shows him standing outside a factory in Battersea while a man runs past. Which company owned the factory?
Morgan Crusoe.
Yep. On all 3 of his albums, as well as his final recordings, Drake worked with the same engineer at the Sound Techniques studio. What's his name?
John Wood.
Yep. In 1999, sales of the album Pink Moon rose dramatically when the title track was used in a television advert for a model of car. What manufacturer made the car?
Volkswagen.
Yep. It was thought for a long time that only 4 songs had been recorded by Drake in 1974, but John Wood found a 5th song as he was preparing the master tape for the 2004 compilation Made to Love Magic. What's the title of this 5th song?
Hang On a Star.
Toe the Line. Drake supplied backing guitar to vocals by Vivian Fowler and Robert Kirby for an album included in an early 1970s educational pack released by Longman. What's the title of it?
Interplay 1.
Yep. When Drake was found dead at his home in 1974, a book by Albert Camus was on his bedside table. Which book?
Myth of Sisyphus.
Is correct. No passes, Ashton. 11 points. Well, what a very close round. Let's have a look at all the scores. In 4th place with 7 points, Kieran. 3rd place with 10 points, Sally. 1st place with 11 points apiece, Vanda and Ashton. So, now it is the general knowledge round. And if there's a tie at the end of it, it seems entirely possible at the moment, then the number of passes is taken into account. And the person with the fewer passes is the winner. And if they're tied on passes as well, then there has to be a tie break. So, let's have Kieran join us again, please. And you start out, Kieran, with 7 points. You have 2.5 minutes, of course, for general knowledge. Here we go. Zen is a meditational form of which major religion?
Buddhism.
Yep. In Roman numerals, what number is denoted by the letters LX?
60.
Yeah. A new sovereign state was established in Africa in 2011 with Juba as its capital city and Salva Kiir as its first president. What's the name of the country?
Chad.
South Sudan. The song What I Did for Love, which has been recorded by Bing Crosby and Shirley Bassey, among many others, comes from a 1975 Broadway musical composed by Marvin Hamlish. What musical?
Jersey Boys.
A chorus line. What generic word for a widely available type of fizzy, pale-coloured beer comes from a German word for storehouse, because it was traditionally stored at cold temperatures for several months before it was drunk?
Weissbier.
Lager. In a children's book by Roald Dahl, Mugglewump, the monkey, gets the better of the 2 evil main characters with the help of the roly-poly bird. What's the title of the book?
The Twits.
Yep. The acronym FAST, which stands for Face, Arms, Speech and Time, is intended to help people recognise the main symptoms of a serious medical condition that occurs when the blood supply to part of the brain is cut off. What condition?
Stroke.
Yes. Which Impressionist painter born in Paris in 1834 is known particularly for his many pictures and sculptures of ballet dancers such as Little Dancer aged 14?
Manet.
Degas. Which 1st century AD Roman author with the sobriquet the Elder wrote the 37-volume Natural History? It was a major source of scientific knowledge until the Middle Ages.
Virgil.
Pliny. Which hot, dry, dusty wind that blows across the Mediterranean from North Africa has a name that translates from Arabic as east wind?
Pass.
The nene, the official state bird of Hawaii, is also commonly known as the Hawaiian species of which waterfowl?
Finch.
Goose, a fictional bear dressed in check trousers, a red jumper and a scarf, was created in 1920 by the British illustrator Mary Turtle for a comic strip in the Daily Express. What's his name?
Biffa.
Rupert. Katharine Hepburn, Winona Ryder and Saoirse Ronan have all played the second of the 4 March sisters in film adaptations of the Louisa May Alcott novel Little Women. What's the character's first name?
Catherine.
Joe. In pre-decimal UK currency, a crown was made up of how many shillings?
20.
5. Which electronic musical instrument named after its Russian inventor is controlled without physical contact from the performer? 2 metal antennae sense the position of the player's hands.
Theremin.
Yep. A network of canals which links London to places in the Midlands, such as Birmingham and Leicester, was amalgamated under a single name in 1929. What name?
Great Canal Network.
The Grand Union Canal. You had one pass that hot, dry, dusty wind that blows across the Med. That is the Sirocco. And you have a total now of 12 points. And next, Sally again, please. And Sally, you start out with a total of 10 points already. So let's see how you do. 2.5 minutes, general knowledge, here we go. The Windsor, half Windsor and 4 in hand are knots commonly used to secure what clothing accessory?
A tie.
Yep. Which entrepreneur turned media personality set up an electronics company in 1968 that became known as Amstrad?
Alan Sugar.
Yep. Water on the knee, butterflies in the stomach and a broken heart are 3 of the ailments suffered by the patient in a battery-operated children's game released in 1965. What game?
Operation.
Yep. The 2018 FIFA World Cup was hosted by which country?
Italy.
Russia. The Choir is a television series first shown in 2006, presented by a choir master who teaches choral singing to various groups of people with little experience of it. What's the name of the choir master?
Gareth Malone.
Yep. Which soldier and statesman known as El Libertador led the campaigns to free Venezuela, Peru and other South American countries from Spanish rule in the 19th century? A modern-day country in South America is named after him.
Bolivia. Bolivar.
No, Simon Bolivar. What 1992 comedy film that starred Whoopi Goldberg as Dolores had a sequel the following year subtitled Back in the Habit?
It's Sister Act.
Yes, a classic rusty nail cocktail is a mixture of Scotch whisky and a whisky liqueur made with heather, honey, herbs and spices. What liqueur?
Drambuie.
Yeah, the 1929 painting The Treachery of Images is a depiction of a tobacco pipe above a caption which translates from French as, "This is not a pipe." It's a work by which Belgian surrealist artist?
Magritte.
Yes. On the Thursday of Holy Week, the Pope takes part in a ceremony known as Pedilavium. The ceremony replicates Jesus' act at a meal with his disciples before his arrest. What act?
The Last Supper.
No, foot washing, or washing the feet. The distinctive building nicknamed the Fred and Ginger Building, or the Dancing House, because it's intended to resemble a pair of dancers, is in which European capital city?
Madrid.
No, Prague. Queen Anne's lace is the wild variety of a plant cultivated for its edible root eaten as a vegetable. What vegetable?
Carrot.
Correct. A type of chemical that occurs naturally in the brain and has pain-relieving properties is known by a name that's a blend of the words endogenous and morphine. What name?
Endorphin.
Yes. Simon and Garfunkel had a #1 single in America in 1966 with a song that has the opening lyric, "Hello Darkness, my old friend," and would later feature on the soundtrack of the film The Graduate. What's the title of the
Sound of Silence.
Yes, the abbreviation CMYK refers to the 4 colours of ink used in most colour printers. The letter M in this abbreviation denotes which colour?
Red.
Magenta.
Oh, but... Well,
No passes, Sally. You now have a total of 20 points.
thank you very much.
And now Vanda again, please. And Vanda, you start out with a very solid 11 points. The score to beat is 20. So, general knowledge, here we go. What game, often played with pen and paper, requires players to guess the letters of a word in order to prevent the completion of a figure on a gallows?
Hangman.
Yep. The former athletes John Disley and Chris Brasher were the co-founders of a long-distance running event first staged in 1981 when more than 7,000 people took part. What event?
London Marathon.
Yep. The ceremony once practiced to excommunicate a person from the Roman Catholic Church is known as bell, book and...
Bible.
Candle. An auction in which the price of the lot is reduced until an offer is accepted is known by a name that refers to a European nationality. What one?
Dutch.
Yep. Which city at the head of the Moray Firth in northern Scotland is sometimes known as the capital of the Highlands?
Inverness.
Yep. A fitness trainer known as the Body Coach with a large online following is the author of a series of cookery and workout books titled Lean In 15. What's his name?
Joe Wicks.
Yeah, which French general crushed a royalist uprising in Paris in 1795 with what Thomas Carlyle later called a whiff of grape shot?
Napoleon.
Yep. What type of thin sausage has a name that comes from the Italian for onion?
Cipolla.
No, Chipolata. The songs At the Club and Saturday Night at the Movies were a hit as a double A-side single in the UK in 1965 and again in 72, when they reached number 3 in the chart. They were performed by which American R&B band?
Frankie Valli.
The Drifters. A collection of non-fiction writings by a British fantasy author were published under the title A Slip of the Keyboard in 2014, 6 months before his death. Which author?
Tolkien.
Terry Pratchett. Edible nuts known as filberts and cob nuts grow on various species of a native British tree of the genus Corylus. What tree?
Hazel.
Yeah. Yes. What Latin term is used in English, particularly in law, to mean of sound mind?
Sens mentis.
Compos mentis. In a British television series of the 1960s, Patrick McGowan plays number 6, a secret agent held captive in a mysterious village. What's the title of the series?
The Prisoner.
Yes. The shipping forecast areas of North Utsira and South Utsira are directly off the west coast of which Scandinavian country?
Denmark.
Norway. In chemistry, an atom or group of atoms with an overall negative charge is referred to as an anion. What corresponding term is used for one with an overall positive
proteon.
charge? No, cation. Which classical music festival was co-founded by the composer Benjamin Britten in 1948? It takes place in Suffolk each June.
Aldborough.
Yes, an Apollo mission launched in 1971 was the first to use a lunar rover to explore the surface of the moon. What number was it in the sequence of Apollo missions?
13.
15. No passes, Vanda. You now have a total of 20 points.
Thank you.
And finally, Ashton, please. You start out with 11, Ashton, and 20 is the score to beat. Let's see if you can do it and get into the semi-finals. 2.5 minutes of general knowledge coming up now. Innsbruck and Salzburg are cities in which European country?
Austria.
Yes, natterjack is the name of a greyish-brown species of which amphibian?
Toad.
Yep. Which British comedian hosted the Golden Globe Awards in 2020 for a record 5th time?
Ricky Gervais.
Yep. A plant or animal that obtains nutrients at the expense of a host organism is known by a name that comes from the ancient Greek for a person who eats at the table of another. What word?
Parasite.
Yep. The ERM was launched as part of the European monetary system in 1979 to try to stabilise European currencies. What do the letters ERM stand for?
Exchange rate mechanism.
Yep. What word for a soldier in a light cavalry regiment comes from the name for a member of a mounted Hungarian force assembled in the 15th century?
Hussar.
Yep. What was the name of the boxer who became the first British-born world heavyweight champion in 1897?
Corbett.
Fitzsimmons. What term for a low padded seat, often without a back or arms, comes from the name of a Turkish people whose empire lasted from the 13th to the 20th centuries?
Ottoman.
Yep. What style of Brazilian popular music has a name that translates from Portuguese as new trend? It gained worldwide popularity in the 1960s, particularly with the success of the song The Girl from Ipanema.
Bossa Nova.
Yep. Which war from Greek mythology provides the backdrop for Pat Barker's 2018 novel The Silence of the Girls?
Trojan.
Yeah, the Intertropical Convergence Zone is a belt of low atmospheric pressure around the equator which once caused sailing ships to become stranded because of a lack of wind. What alternative name for this region is also used to mean a depressed or listless state of mind?
Doldrums.
Yeah. What's the name for the part of a vehicle exhaust system which reduces the level of polluting emissions that pass into the atmosphere?
Catalytic converter.
Yep. On December 10th each year, 6 prizes are awarded in Stockholm and Oslo to those who, in the organisers' words, have conferred the greatest benefit on humankind. What prizes?
Nobel.
Yep. Viticulture is the cultivation of which fruit?
Grapes.
Yep. What artificial fibre, noted for its elasticity, was developed by the DuPont company in the late 1950s? It's sometimes known as spandex and is used to make tight-fitting garments such as swimsuits and underwear.
Lycra.
Yep. What's the name of the Conservative MP who was appointed as Foreign Secretary in July 2019? He succeeded Jeremy Hunt in the role.
Dominic Raab.
Yep, in 2 films released in 1980, the roles of Olive Oil in a live-action version of Popeye and Wendy, the wife of Jack Nicholson's character in The Shining, were played by the same actress. What's her name?
Ronan.
Shelley Duvall. What word from a Latin term for a box or chest for books refers to a place regarded as holy because of its association with a saint or a sacred being?
Casement.
Shrine. Ha. Not that it matters, because you have no passes, Ashton, and you have scored 26 points.
Thank you.
So close, and then a runaway winner. Let's have a look at the final scores. In fourth place with 12 points, Kieran. In joint second place, 20 points apiece, Vanda and Sally. In first place with 26 points, Ashton, which means, of course, that he goes through to the semi-finals. Congratulations to him. And if you would like to be a contender in the next series, do go to our website, bbc.co.uk/mastermind, and you can follow us at Mastermind Quiz. And do join us again next time for more Masterminds. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.
When you first sit in the black chair, nothing you have done beforehand prepares you for it.
And your name is?
Ashton Davis,
Your occupation?
English teacher. No matter what breathing exercises, whatever you've done, it's still terrifying.
No passes, Sally. You have 10 points.
Thank you.
Everybody scored so highly in the first round, I was starting to get very nervous in seat number 4. I applied. I always said I wouldn't apply to another show after a terrible performance many years ago on 15 to 1, but I think hopefully that's put that to bed now.
Viticulture is the cultivation of which fruit?
Grapes.
Yep.
Well, I've had a lot of friends and family support me in this application and test me on my specialist subject, so they'll be very pleased that I got through and hopefully reading for me in the next round.
No passes, Ashton. 26 points.
Thank you. If I looked cool and calm and collected, I certainly wasn't. I did practice how I was going to sit in the chair. That must be the only reason I did.
In first place with 26 points, Ashton.
I haven't told any of my students that I was appearing on Mastermind. I didn't want them to know, but they do know that quizzing is a bit of a passion of mine.
He goes through to the semi-finals. Congratulations to him.
Hopefully they'll be thrilled to see Sir winning on TV one Monday evening.